What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we're going to look at a Q&A done by Yomni Park at a Young America Foundation event. She is a human rights activist, a North Korea defector, and a best-selling author. If you enjoy reading or audiobooks, I highly recommend her book, In Order to Live. That thing is quite the story. She's got a new book out at the moment called While Time Remains. I've not read it yet, but In Order to Live has to be one of the better books I've read in the last couple of years. Let's get into the video. I'll give you my thoughts after the clips.
Hi, I'm Alana. So since you've been in America, what is one thing that you think Americans take for granted that you love?
It's choice.
Choice?
I don't think Americans understand what a unique thing to have a choice. Choice to where you live, what you do, who you marry, what you even eat. When you go to restaurants, you have at least dozens of them to choose from. In North Korea, we don't have a cookbook because nobody can afford the ingredients to make different kinds of food. So I think that's what I see, that Americans don't understand how unique the way of life is here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alejandra. I'm from Venezuela, and I experienced not the same scenario, but obviously the dictator over there is a friend of Kim Jong-un, and I just have a question because the way I see the generation now is that they're so indoctrinated that there's pretty much no way to revert that damage that the left have caused. And do you think any possibility that we can change that in the near future, maybe?
Yeah, thank you. I definitely see that. I think, like people from Venezuela, Cuba, or Iran and North Korea, none of them want to live under socialism. That's why we escaped. And all these people living in democracy, they want to bring the socialism to this country. And the reason why I think they think that way is because of the American education system became a huge propaganda tool. It became an indoctrination camp, like North Korean schoolrooms. And I think once we realize what is getting into our children's minds, and also we realize how American media became liars, and they became a propaganda tool as well. Once we see that, and this hijacking of these big institutions, then I think we can change that. But first is definitely education, that our children getting brainwashed, and my son is too. I worry about that every day, and people really don't understand how bad it got in this country right now.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I just have a quick question about North Korean defectors. So when you guys come to this country, do you get worried about speaking out about all the stuff that happened in North Korea and like any retribution that like the regime might come after you?
Right. So it's interesting. When I spoke out, I became on the killing list of Kim Jong-un. And it was a legit threat. South Korean intelligence informed me, and they said you cannot go. I mean, that's right after that he killed his half-brother in Malaysia, Kim Jong-nam. So I was very worried. And they said, oh, if you go to America, I'm sure they are going to protect you. Instead of protecting me, actually, they have canceled me.
Yeah.
I was invited to speak at FBI Dallas last year. And then right 2 days before my speech, the head of diversity calls me and says, because of my political opinions, they have to cancel the event. So I don't get any protection in America. And I think that's why also I wrote my new book is when I was getting robbed in Chicago a few years ago during the BLM protest. I was robbed by a few black women, and they were punching me and took my wallet away, informed my son, who was a toddler. And I was trying to call the cops on these thieves. And people on the street literally circled me, looking at me. You are racist. Why are you doing this? You're racist. And skin color of the person does not make them a thief. And therefore, I cannot call cops on these thieves. Because of my skin color, I do not deserve justice in this country right now. And they call me, what do you know about oppression? Because you're a white passing person. Wow. They said I internalized the whiteness in me. I mean, just loads of bullshit again. But it's the fact that people, this is where I really worry about America, is that because they don't have actual problem, they have to keep making new problems. They have to keep creating problem out of nowhere and just out of thin air. And this is their job, every day making a problem out of nowhere. And meanwhile, our enemies in China and North Korea, they are building nukes to bomb us, to destroy us. Their only goal is destroying America. And we became this like snowflake generation. At Columbia, like before even classes, the professors would send us the trigger warnings. In this reading, we're gonna talk about some racism, some like sexual harassment. If it triggers you in any way, don't do the reading, don't come to the class, and you don't even need to tell me why it triggered you. Then like, why the heck did you go to university if you cannot read something? And then professors say, oh, if you cannot handle this oppression that we are having, yeah, you can bring your comfort animals. So university kids bring their comfort dogs to the classroom. And I was thinking, this is a joke, right? This got to be a joke. And this is how far this madness can continue. And I don't know where this is going to eventually stop.
Wow. Wow. Thank you very much.
I like the question the First Lady asked, because there's so much that we take for granted as North Americans, the freedom of speech, but also just being born in a good country, having a strong freaking passport, having great human rights, the opportunities that are given to you to succeed. If you're born with an American passport, the ease of travel compared to, listen, I travel with a lot of friends of mine. One of my great friends, he's Jamaican, my wife's Thai, and they always have to apply for a visa, and there's a process, and everything's a pain, versus being born somewhere like America, where again, you have all the opportunities in the world. Not saying it's going to be easy for everybody. Sure, people with more money, it's going to be easier for them most likely than somebody who was born poor, because that's going to be hard to get out of. But you have opportunity to succeed and have generational wealth, which you don't have in every country. And obviously she hit the nail on the head with the second question. These universities are purely brainwashing people. We have YouTubers out there, fake socialist YouTubers like Hassan Piker, who's a better capitalist than most of us. The guy's a multi-millionaire, owns a bunch of properties and luxury cars. And just look at these pro-Palestine protesters. I don't have a dog in that race. I believe we should take care of our own countries first. We have a homeless epidemic, fentanyl epidemic, a border where people are just crawling in by the millions every year. Inflation sky high. The housing market's crazy. We have enough problems at home without worrying about that. But all of these pro-Palestine protesters trying going to live there. You see these gays for Palestine. Yeah, go live under Hamas for a bit as a gay or lesbian person and see how that goes for you. Let's get back to the video.
Yeah, come stand up here.
Right here. Hi, I'm Carson. I was just curious if there's like, what kind of books are there in North Korea besides like the textbooks, which are very anti-American in every which way? Is there like if you go to the library, what kind of, is there like a Kim Jong-un Bible or something? Like what kind of stuff is there to read?
Yeah, it's just like that what you just said, you know, there are only one channel on news on TV. There's all propaganda. We used to have a radio that we could not turn off. It's like in Georgia was 1984, you just blast government propaganda to you and you cannot turn it off. There's no button you can turn it off. Thankfully, there's no electricity right now, so we did not have to listen to that radio every day. Of course, there is no freedom of movement, and all the books are those like faked, fabricated books of you know, how Kim Jong-un can, you know, fly. If he writes letters, he can fly and make miracles, and how he can read our minds, and how they are like eternal gods, like all those kind of propaganda materials. Yeah.
Thank you. I have another question. What happens when someone, you mentioned people having to do work, there's no just homelessness. What happens when someone gets too old to work, like they just can't, their physical limitations to where they can't do anything anymore? There's no retirement. Yeah, there's no need to retire. There's no way you're gonna get old and die natural causes. Other things might kill you before. Like, I've never met anybody who died from cancer in North Korea, because the other things kills you way before.
And if somebody makes up to like 58, we think, oh, that person lived a really, really long time. So, you know, as I said, like we are 5 inches shorter than South Koreans, and we don't live that long because of severe malnutrition that we experience. So we don't, in North Korea, they don't have to worry about aging population. I think for sure that will never happen because it's before any of that they die.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I was actually going to ask almost the exact same question because I'm studying abroad in South Korea next semester. But I was just wondering, I've also read your book and you said you experienced discrimination there. But I was wondering, is there like still a big population of North Korean people who stay in South Korea, or do you think the majority of them defect? But I know, as you said, it's a very small amount who actually make it to America. So if not America, are they just staying in South Korea or going elsewhere?
Oh, mostly they are in China, captured.
Okay.
So majority of North Koreans are in China, and they end up in 4 places as a North Korean defector in China. One is you end up in organ harvesting. So they buy you and take your organs out and discard you. Second is you are bought in these brothels. They rape you until you die. Usually you die in 6 months. And then third place is where a town of men buy a girl, ship in and buy a girl, and then they rotate and rape her and she dies out. And last place is sex chat rooms, where they lock these girls indoor and they make them to perform sex acts in front of the camera. And then for that, these girls get fed and get, hidden place. So this is happening, and this is a thing. I am here because there are, as I said, 300,000 of them are trapped in China and don't know if there's any life for them. And I've been trying to spread this message in America, in the land of the free. And one of the producers last year in Hollywood wanted to make a movie out of my story from my first book. And he sent me a movie script, and he says, China was my promised land. When I got to China, they gave me protection and refugee. I asked him, like, what the heck are you talking about? Right? And he said, this is the only way we can make a movie about North Korea in Korean Hollywood, by lying about China. And that's why no Michelle Obama or Mark Clooney or none of these people would sit down with me, talk to me, because they all making money out of China.
Wow.
And that's why North Korean stories are buried deep down, and nobody ever talk about this modern day genocide and Holocaust anywhere.
Wow. So for me specifically, or just for anyone who is passionate about this as well, because I'm personally very interested in like Korean culture, I spoke to you earlier, but also in refugee policy specifically, what would your advice be to me or anyone who's passionate about helping North Korean, especially defectors? What do you think that I could do, honestly, moving forward?
So there are 2 ways you can get involved. One is actual action, and there's a lot of missionaries are still rescuing North Koreans from China to freedom. So you can join one of those mission groups, and in any way you can help. And second is, I guess we have to elect right leaders in America that understands the threat of China, understand the corruption in American mainstream institutions, and they are willing to be the voice for the voiceless people. So I think that's 2 ways we can do as Americans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't know the universities were that soft. I know this generation is soft. I was born in the 80s. Nothing offends me ever. But what we're teaching our kids right now, we're not teaching them how to think. Leave your political opinions outside of the classrooms. All this DEI nonsense, this politically correct nonsense. We need to be encouraging good debates, good conversations. And when you ask hard questions, when you are a truth seeker, like people on our side are, you're going to have to risk offending people. And that's just the way it is. And you're going to have to risk being offended. I think that's absolutely insane what she was saying, that you don't have to read the material if you're, if you have some trigger warnings and you can bring your dolls to the university. I mean, talk about being soft. This is why in my actual business. This is not my job. I coach a lot of young men on business, entrepreneurs, and I tell them this all the time, is that this is a soft generation. If you're willing to put in the time, day in, day out, you can crush this generation. Most of them don't even know what hard work is. For any of you who think the propaganda is bad in the West, my first time I ever went to China, they have the big firewall there, and you can't use, you'd want to use Facebook, but getting on, it's easier now. There's some apps, there's some VPNs, but still difficult. But a decade ago when I first went there, it was absolutely impossible to get through that Chinese firewall. And the propaganda on the ads, on their social media, on WeChat, incredible. And look at North Korea. She talks about the malnutrition. The only fat person in that country is the guy that runs it. Imagine being a leader in of a country where they're not allowed access to pretty much anything, and they believe that you can fly because of this propaganda machine, that you could read their minds. I think we forget how good we have. When you hear stories like that, you forget that you're privileged to be born in a good country. Again, I don't believe in skin color privilege, white privilege, or anything of the sorts, but you're born in America versus being born in North Korea. That's privilege. Guys, if you like this, I highly recommend that you check out her book. It's a heart-wrenching read. Some of the parts are quite hard. They're quite sad. You really have to be a sociopath and not have to have empathy for anybody to be able to read that and not feel something. But it's an incredible read. I always recommend to people, if you're somebody who goes to the gym on the treadmill, get an audiobook. This is how I do a lot of my learning. I just finished re-listening to Douglas Murray's The War in the West. Great book. Yamni Park's book, highly recommend. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, as usual, guys, please smash that thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.